Live at 5. This is 13 News Now.
We started out with a beautiful day and things now have gone downhill. Good evening, everyone. I'm David Allen.
And I'm Janet Roach. You can see the rain pushing through the area right now on the radar, and Jeff's in now with details on that and another change coming. Jeff.
Yeah, and we've already seen a change this afternoon, not just in the initial drop. Now temperatures have rebounded at the airport, but it's still rather chilly, I guess. We'll take a look at that in a second. As you can see, the rain, though, moving across the region right now. We've had a few isolated showers earlier. Now they're turning into scattered, even occasional showers. All of that pushing to the east. Current temperatures back up to 60. They went down into the mid-50s, and then over the past 2 hours, and that was in a 2-hour period, we went from 75 to 55 in under 2 hours. Now we've gone from 55 back to 60 in the span of another 2 hours. No wind out there. That wind will be kicking up again out of the north. So that's why we had that little bit of a rebound. It's going to head back the other direction. The picture that Evan showed a little while ago of just our immediate viewing area showed this. Temperatures from around 60 in the north down to 70s, well into the 70s to the south. I wanted to expand that a little bit to show you how now it is still 80 down to the south. And that was the case in Elizabeth City an hour or two ago. Now all of that's been pushed to the south. But I also wanted to show you how cold the air is up on the other side of the mountain. So there's a huge difference here. For the next 6 hours, we're going to see a steady decline falling from near 60 back down into the 40s. By midnight, see the rain chances also once we get very late into the evening, starting to taper off a bit. That means for tomorrow, not much of a rain chance early, but then believe it or not, rain moves back in, and we'll be talking about some cold temperatures that are followed by more warmth. So some real big swings, both temperature and precipitation wise. I'll discuss those coming up.
All right, Jeff, new information tonight in York County. New court documents paint a clear picture as to why prosecutors say this woman, Cindy Bryant, shot and killed her wife outside a Walmart yesterday. We've also learned how the pair were connected. 13 News Now reporter Nico Clemens is live in York County tonight with those developments. Nico.
Yeah, David, we're learning much more about what happened before investigators say Cindy Bryant pulled that trigger. The wives started arguing inside, and that argument took a deadly turn outside.
It broke out in tears.
New details in the deadly shooting in the Walmart parking lot yesterday. It all started when investigators say Cindy Bryant came to this Walmart and bought ammunition. Ammunition she would then load into her gun at a McDonald's next door.
It's sad. It's sad.
Investigators say Bryant came back to the Walmart to confront her wife, Jean Bryant. The two started arguing. Cindy pulled the gun from her pocket and forced Jean to go outside so they could talk. Investigators say someone got involved once the two got outside and kept arguing. That's when Jean started running. Cindy told investigators she ran after her wife and started shooting at her.
I was real shocked. Yeah, they seemed like a really happy couple.
Michelle Carey is one of Jean Bryant's neighbors. She says she saw Jean and her little boy all the time.
Jean was real nice. Yes, I used to talk to Jean, very nice, always smiling, very jolly.
Carey heard about the shooting, but had no clue it was her neighbor who lost her life.
It hurt. Yeah, it hurt. She was real quiet, and she was just, that's why I'm shocked.
And Cindy Bryant faces several charges, including first-degree murder. She was arraigned this morning, and she'll be back in court on March 1st. Live in York County, I'm Nico Clemens, 13 News Now.
New information tonight in a serious crash on I-64 in Hampton. State police arrested the driver of an SUV that flipped several times, sending 2 children flying into the air. This was the scene near Mercury Boulevard on Monday. Troopers say Courtney Dorsey was driving the SUV with her 3 kids when she swerved to avoid a stopped traffic and hit a car and flipped. She's accused of reckless driving and failing to maintain control. The children who were hurt have since been released from the hospital.
New details tonight in a school shooting that left 17 people dead. Florida Governor Rick Scott is calling on FBI Director Christopher Wray to step down after the Bureau admitted it didn't investigate a tip about the shooter. The FBI says someone who knows the shooter called a tip called a tip line on January 5th. That's 40 days before the attack happened. The caller reported concerns about the gunman's erratic behavior and disturbing social media posts, even suggesting he might carry out a school shooting. Although the FBI has acknowledged its mistake, Governor Scott says that's not enough. In a statement, he commended the tipster who saw something and said something, but said the FBI failed to act. He called See Something, Say Something an important tool and said people need to know law enforcement will follow through on it.
Well, tonight, these faces of the 17 victims are circulating on social media, and we're starting to learn more about who they are. 14 students, 2 coaches, and a teacher. Football coach Aaron Fies died while trying to help students get outside of the building to safety. Social studies teacher Scott Beagle was also killed while helping students. During the chaos, he opened his classroom door as a shelter for the kids. He was shot when he was closing the door. Tonight, as the first 2 victims have been laid to rest, students are trying to come to terms with the loss of their classmates.
We sat together in Spanish class, and now she's going to be an empty desk. She's going to be an empty desk now. She's not going to be here anymore.
The survivors of this shooting and families who lost loved ones are calling for change, pleading with lawmakers to do something. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez reports.
Mourning and protesting.
Gun reform now!
Survivors of this week's deadly school shooting in South Florida outspoken in their calls for gun control. Students responding to the president.
Your suffering is our burden also.
And other lawmakers' reactions to the massacre.
We need to think less about taking sides and fighting each other politically and just pulling together.
Insisting now is the time to act.
Politicians can make all the promises they want, and they can give all their condolences. But at what point do we say that's not enough, and we call for action? I think this is that point.
That push for stricter gun laws spreading across social media, heartbroken parents adding their voices. Among them, Lori Al-Hadaf, preparing for her 14-year-old daughter Alyssa's funeral, appearing on CNN with this impassioned plea.
President Trump, you say, what can you do? You can stop the guns from getting into these children's hands. Put metal detectors at every entrance to the schools. What can you do? You can do a lot.
The president has said he will work with the nation's governors to help secure schools and work on mental health issues, but he made no mention of gun laws. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Los Angeles.
A North Carolina sheriff cancels a firearms raffle that was going to include the same kind of gun used in the Florida shooting. It was a re-election campaign event for the Mecklenburg County Sheriff Erwin Carmichael, and it was set to take place tomorrow. In a statement, Carmichael said he's canceling the raffle out of respect for the families affected by the tragedy.
New tonight, Congressman Scott Taylor has officially introduced a federal bill to create an Ashanti alert. It's named after Ashanti Billy, the 19-year-old abducted from JEB Little Creek and killed last fall. It's like an Amber Alert, but for missing persons from 18 to 65 years old. A similar bill has been proposed at the state level. In a statement, Congressman Taylor said the legislation would save lives and that lessons are learned from worst-case scenarios like Ashanti's death. Monday on 13 News Now at 6, 13 News Now investigates how this bill would be implemented and how the alert would work.
People in Virginia Beach are pushing for the city to start a project that's been in the plans for about a decade. The project would improve a section of Shore Drive from Marlin Bay Drive to the Lesnar Bridge. 13 News Now reporter Allie Weatherton went there today to see what those improvements would be and why the project's never taken off.
People who live in Ocean Park love to ride their bikes to the beaches and to the local bars and restaurants. But do you see what I'm riding on right now? It's grass. And people who live in this area are fed up and say something needs to be done, like more sidewalks.
I don't understand why people have to lobby their city to get safe infrastructure.
Safe infrastructure. That's what community members living on Shore Drive say is needed for them to enjoy their neighborhood.
We have to use one crosswalk to get to the beach, and at that one crosswalk there's a patch of sand for you to stand on. There is there's no safe place for your kids to be.
Phase 4 of a plan called the Shore Drive Corridor Improvements would give residents what they want: sidewalks, bike lanes, and a multi-use trail. But according to the city, that project that's been discussed for the past 10 years is low on the totem pole. And as of now, there's no date on when they would start it.
Tourists who go to the oceanfront, this is their first glimpse of Virginia Beach. This is the first impression. It makes no sense to me.
And residents like Tim Solonik say he's not giving up. He and his neighbors are heading to City Council March 6th to voice their concerns.
We have such amazing facilities in Virginia Beach, and we can't access them.
In Virginia Beach, Allie Weatherton, 13 News Now.
Just into the newsroom, a woman is facing charges after a crash with a school bus. This happened on North Road Street in Pasquotank County this morning. Police say Deanna Evans was driving a Chevy Silverado pickup truck and rear-ended a school bus carrying students to Pasquotank High School. EMS took some people from the bus to the hospital with minor injuries. Evans is charged with driving with a suspended license and failure to reduce speed.